So, to everybody watching this, by now, you probably know that the former director of the FBI has been indicted officially, right? And when I look all over the internet, all I see is Republicans, conservatives, those on the right celebrating this like it's some kind of major victory. Oh, yeah, James Comey just got indicted. Yeah, James Comey just got indicted. And guess what? I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care. And the reason why I don't care is because I genuinely do not believe that he will do a single day in prison. I don't. I do not. I do not believe. I don't believe he will be convicted. Now, many of you are going to say, okay, well, why is that, Angryman? And if you are asking me why is that, you haven't been paying attention. You haven't been paying attention. Now, I do shows where I have spoken at length about how America is the greatest country on earth, and I truly believe that. I've spoken at length about the documents that the founding fathers created and the genius of those documents, with the exception of that 3/4 of a human being crap. But there's one thing that I have a problem with in this country. The thing that I have a problem with is there is a two-tier system of law. All of us down here at the regular level, we couldn't get caught stealing a pack of Hubba Bubba out of a local gas station without having to worry about years in prison. Meanwhile, these pricks at the top do some of the most heinous shit, and they get away with it. They get away with it on a regular basis. Every single time they do something, it's like, oh, Congress, we have to have a committee. We have to have a committee. And what do? They call the person up to come in front of the committee, and the person, it's just like with Twitter, and they brought out Jack Dorsey, and they sat there and they asked him some tough questions and acted like they was being real tough. And then what happened afterwards? Jack Dorsey strolled out of there, got back on his private jet, and went back to freaking Silicon Valley or wherever the fuck he lives at, went back to wherever he lives at, and went back to sucking down freaking espressos and Starbucks coffee or whatever the hell it is he do in his freaking hipster doofus lifestyle. And the same thing with Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg shows up in front of Congress. They ask him a bunch of tough questions. And then when they're finished asking him questions, he leaves out of there, gets back on his spaceship. You know what I'm saying? Goes back to Silicon Valley and plugs himself into the wall so that he can fucking recharge. right? Let's just be honest about it. Let's just be real about it. Let's just be real about it. Like it seems like to me, even though the founding fathers intended for this country not to be ran by kings and queens and royalty, but to be governed. And government means the rule of the people. See, for some odd reason, the people in Congress think they're above us, when really we're the ones that are supposed to be their bosses, right? Even though this country is not supposed to be run by royalty, by kings or whatever, what I am noticing, what I've been noticing for my entire life, if you decide to go into public office, if you decide to become a senator, a congress person, a president, a governor, a mayor, it just seems like now you have been anointed to be the royalty of America, and you're now above the law. Like how many people have we watched do questionable shit, and they're just strolling around like nothing happened, like absolutely nothing happened. Selma Brown said Trump got away. No, Trump actually got indicted, prosecuted, and he ultimately won. So I'm sorry, Selma Brown. I'm sorry if this conversation hurts your Trump derangement syndrome. But the reality is, Hillary Clinton will never see the inside of a courtroom. Neither will Barack Obama. So why don't you do us all a favor? Why don't you take your Trump derangement syndrome and skip your happy behind somewhere else? Because we don't want to hear it over here. We don't want to hear it over here. I've heard enough. I've heard enough Trump derangement syndrome in mainstream media. I've heard enough of it for the past what has it been? The past 9 years, even though Trump he's only been president for the past 5 of the 9 years. We had to hear about Trump for the entire time that Joe Biden was in office. And by the way, just so we're clear, if you hate Trump and you're a Democrat or you're on the left, just click off. Don't even watch my show. I'm not your typical conservative. I'm not one of these conservatives going to be like, I'm open to all discussion. I want to hear what people are saying on the other side. And I'm willing to engage in civil discourse with everybody. That's not me. That's not me, because I know your side is crazy. I know your side is a bunch of lunatics. And I'm not interested. I'm not interested in I'm not interested in any of your new age, anti-God, satanic bullshit. I'm not interested in your I'm a purple dinosaur from the planet Zoom BS. I'm not interested in your pink hair, blue hair, your all of your emotional intelligence. Use your words. We need to teach everybody sensitivity training bullshit. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in the type of civil discourse that gets conservatives shot. So you're wasting your time coming over here with that goofy shit because, see, here's the thing. I don't allow narcissists to manipulate my code of ethics. I don't allow narcissists to use my decency against me. I don't operate that way. So you're wasting your time. DH says, so why is Trump? Why is Trump what? Why is Trump what? Why is Trump what? Said, what did they get Comey for? Lying to Congress. Lying to Congress. Lying to Congress. So basically, they're going to try to hit him. They're going to try to hit him with a perjury charge, probably two counts of perjury, I think, which, in my personal opinion, ain't going to go nowhere. It ain't going to go nowhere, in my humble opinion, right? I Whisper said 38 felonies present. Oh, really? What were the 38 felonies? Nah, hold on, Jerome. Don't hide. No, do not hide them. Do not hide them. Do not hide them. What were the 38 felonies? Watch this. What were the 38 felonies? Indigenous people built the pyramids in the Americas, which somebody kicked that person out of here. The person that's named the Mad Poet, kick them out of here. Kick them out of here. Get them up out of here. I'm gonna ask again. What were the 38 felonies? What were the 38 felonies? Come on. Come on. If you're gonna say 38 felonies with that much conviction, you should at least know what the felonies are. But I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts, you don't even know what the felonies are. I bet you any amount of money. Shout out to the lowly one, said not 38 felonies, crap again. Geez, listening in. Good morning, AM. Appreciate you, bro. And yo, shout out to my man Jerome. He said, bringing the truth, bro. And shout out to my man Stan for being a sponsor of the show early this morning. He said, fuel, appreciate you, fam. What? You don't know what the 38 felonies were? 38 felonies for falsified business reports in maybe 2024 in New York. Okay, so first of all, this is where you're lacking in your knowledge, okay? So number one, in that particular case, right? Donald Trump allegedly paid Stormy Daniels hush money to not talk about their interactions or their relationship because he figured it would hurt his presidential run. Guess what? That's not illegal. That's not illegal. So his lawyer entered the payment as a legal fee And so basically what New York did is they said, oh, that entry was entered into your records incorrectly. So we're going to charge you for that. The entry was entered into the record 30 some times. So they counted each time that the entry was in the record. So that's what they counted as felonies. There's only one problem with that. Number one, even if you entered something wrong into your records, that's not a felony. At worst, it's a misdemeanor. However, because the state of New York was on a witch hunt, probably at the behest of the Biden administration, they decided to elevate that charge to a felony and counted each entry as a felony. Some shit they have never done in the history of this country. There is no legal precedence for it. So before you come in here running your mouth about President Trump, my question is, why haven't we had a conversation? Why haven't indictments went out for a number of things? Why are we just now getting an indictment for James Comey, who literally spied on the Trump administration, the Trump campaign, which is illegal, not to mention the Pfizer warrants that they got, ill-gotten Pfizer warrants, wiretaps on a presidential campaign, and let us not forget the Russia collusion, which has been confirmed to be false. But I bet you don't want to have that conversation. No, you don't want to have that conversation because you are a sheep. You're sheeple. What you do is you sit on your lard behind and you watch the news, and whatever bullshit they decide to serve up to you, you eat it by the spoonful. So if they tell you that Donald Trump has 38 felonies, you're like, oh my God, he has 38 felonies. Oh, well, I'm sorry. You'll have to forgive me. You'll have to forgive me. I don't always believe law enforcement and the government when they hit someone with charges. I don't know. Maybe it's just the black man in me. Maybe it's just the black man in me who has noticed how in this country there have been numerous bad actors that have used and weaponized the justice system on their behalf in order to lock people up on felonious charges. So, yeah, any of you that's coming in here with the, oh, Donald Trump, he's a felon, is falling on deaf ears when you're talking to this black man. Same government that says that Donald Trump is a felon is the same government that was wiretapping Dr. Martin Luther King. Could you please explain to me why they were doing that? Lefties, Democrats, all of you lefty Democrats that love free speech so much, could you answer that question for me? The same government that claims Donald Trump is a felon is the same government that was wiretapping Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that was wiretapping Malcolm X and numerous other civil rights leaders. Could you please explain that to me? And if you don't want to explain that to me, do us all a favor and shut the hell up. But anyway, going back to what I was saying. This is not a celebration. This is not a celebration. This is not a celebration. Let's see, Mr. Me Aggie said Republicans never cease to amaze me with their selective outrage. Yeah, and Democrats never cease to amaze me with their fascist mentality. You want to come over here and talk about Republican selective outrage, Mr. Me Aggie? I got a question for you. You found any new targets lately? Or did you decide you're not going to shoot people this week for having opinions? Hmm? Oh, so y'all just decided y'all was gonna get up this morning and try to bother me, right? It don't matter because I'm gonna talk this shit. I'm gonna talk this shit regardless. I'm gonna talk this shit regardless. 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 And I know you're gonna be in your fifis. I know you're gonna be in your fifis, but it's all good. You can be in your fifis. That's what y'all do. That's how y'all operate. Y'all stay in your fifis, but it's all good. I wouldn't expect anything less from a bunch of snowflakes. So, to my fellow conservatives, because that's who I'm really speaking to, and that's who this message is for. For all of my fellow conservatives, you need to understand that this is not a victory. This is not a victory. The only way it will be a victory is if we watch these individuals that are obviously bad actors get indicted one after the other in a domino effect. You hear me? One after the other in a domino effect. And if you don't see that, there's really no point in celebrating, because this is what it feels like to me. And I know a lot of the conservatives, I'll give it up to you. You have a positive attitude, and that's cool. It's cool to have a positive attitude. It's cool to have a bright outlook on the future. But in addition to being a conservative, I'm a realist. I'm a realist and a bit cynical. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm not chomping at the bit. You'll have to forgive me if, because this is like, I'm gonna tell you what this feels like. It feels like this indictment came down to basically throw you a bone. I mean, for God's sakes, we couldn't even keep Jimmy Kimmel off the air. So how is this a victory? I'm gonna say it again. We couldn't even keep Jimmy Kimmel off the air. So how is this a victory? You couldn't keep Jimmy Kimmel off the air, but when you look at the other side, when you look at what they're able to do, Roseanne's done. And that's just one of many. I can go down the list. You had people that's like, oh man, YouTube said that certain creators can come back. Those creators came back yesterday, and guess what? Guess what? Guess what happened? Wasn't even on the platform 12 hours. Wasn't even on the platform 12 hours. Vivek Ramaswamy literally had to put out a video saying, "Dear YouTube, what's up with free speech, bro?" The same people that are outraged at the idea of Jimmy Kimmel being taken off the air are the same ones that are perfectly fine with other people being deplatformed. And I don't know how many ways to say this. This is a problem that is not going to go away. This is a problem that has to be solved. This is not a problem that is going to fix itself. It's not. It's not. And a lot of you conservatives, you feel good right now because Trump is in office and Trump is wrecking shop. And now you finally can breathe again. You finally can breathe again, right? You finally can exhale. It's like, oh man, I can breathe again. But for how long? Until the next anti-First Amendment, anti-Second Amendment Democrat gets elected in the office? Until the next commie Democrat gets elected in the office? Like, how long are you going to be able to breathe comfortably? Shout out to Hollow Ninja. Said, good morning, AM. We keep on going, man, to eternity. Appreciate you, bro. This is not a victory. And I don't even think it's a victory, even if he does get the 5 years in prison. I still don't think it's a victory. Because he's small potatoes. I know y'all think he's not because he's a former director of the FBI, but he's small potatoes. You want to know what would be a victory to me? If I saw Fauci in court, if I saw Adam Schiff in court, if I saw Barack, Hillary, like that would be a victory. But we know that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. These folks are more concerned with the fact that Donald Trump has a photo of the auto pen in the line of presidents. He has a photo of the auto pen instead of Joe Biden. They're more concerned about the photo of the auto pen than the actual auto pen. Let that sink in for a second. Shout out to D-Rock Dean. He said, good morning, AMG. What's with this new wave in the sphere of black people calling black people conservatives that lean right? It's a simple term. The term is called butthurtedness. That's what it is. But no, really what it is, it's contagion. That's what it is. Whenever you see black people doing that, you have to understand, out of all of the people in this country, the people that are the most susceptible to influence is black people. They're the most susceptible. In other words, what I am saying is they are the group that thinks the least for themselves. Like, whatever what black people do is black people follow waves. So whatever the wave is, that's what they're going to follow. They would do the same thing if all of a sudden being a conservative was popular, they would be conservatives. I literally saw a video the other day of a woman that was being arrested a black woman that was being arrested. You know what she said to the cops? Where's the female cop? You're not supposed to put your hands on me. This is a woman that committed a criminal act, and she believes that the police don't have the right to handcuff her. You know why? Because she spent her entire life hearing, man ain't supposed to put their hands on you. And when they got her over to the car and was trying to put her in the car, you know what she did? She turned around and said to them, I don't feel protected. I don't feel protected. You know why she's saying that? Because there's a bunch of folks on the internet saying black women are the least protected. They don't think for themselves, bro. They don't think for themselves. I was having this conversation with my wife last night. I said the same way when we look at somebody like, say, a P. Diddy, right? In the 90s, P. Diddy was cool, right? In the 90s, Will Smith was cool. But what I'm realizing is being cool has an expiration date. And you know the conclusion that I came to, because this is what I notice now. And I said this to my wife. I said, yo, I think the expiration date for black people's cool has expired. There used to be a time where we were the cultural leaders when it came to cool. Black folk ain't cool no more, y'all. I hate to tell you that. They're not cool no more. This is the reason why there's no R&B. This is the reason why hip hop sucks. This is the reason why you can't find any decent black shows. You can't find any decent black movies. Black people are not cool anymore. Now, I don't know if y'all feel that way or you feel how I feel, but I'm telling you right now, everything black people do nowadays gets on my nerves. This shit, all that shit gets on my nerves, bruh. Gets on my nerves, fam. Black people are no longer the standard of cool, but they still think they are. And therein lies the problem, right? Because nowadays, black folk don't really be thinking for themselves. They just go along with the wave. Like you got black people at college campuses yelling free Palestine. What does Palestine have to do with the plight of black Americans? Could somebody please explain that to me? What does the state of Palestine have to do with the state of black Americans in America? Like, that's a legitimate question. That's a legitimate question. I'm not saying you should be for or against. I'm just saying, where is the correlation? Back in the day when black people were saying free South Africa, I could see the correlation. I could see the correlation based upon apartheid and how that relates to the plight of black Americans in America. I could see that. But you literally have black Americans cheering on countries that are known to be racist. And I'm trying my best to figure out what is. It doesn't make sense to me. The only way it makes sense, the only way that I can really make it make sense is black people just ride the most popular wave. Whatever the most popular wave is, that's the wave that black people ride. So when the mainstream media, look, you got to understand, five of the major networks are completely and utterly liberal. Five of the major networks will never have any conservative content on it. Guess what that does? What that does is, if you've got five of the major networks constantly talking down on Republicans, conservatives, anybody that's right-leaning, vilifying them while simultaneously praising the left, you're influencing the portion of the American public that cannot think for themselves, the portion of the American public that are impressionable, the portion of the American public that put their faith in these networks to tell them the truth. So if these five networks are constantly telling you that Donald Trump is a dictator, guess what? That portion of Americans that are impressionable, guess what they're going to believe? They're going to believe that Donald Trump is a dictator. This feverish behavior that you see in America right now is a direct result of these networks hammering the American people to believe that the democracy is in danger due to Donald Trump and right-wing extremists. Shout out to Black Rosewood TV, said blacks seem to pick the side that they think is winning before using their God-given brain. No, that's not what they do. Black Rosewood TV. They don't pick the side they think is winning. They pick the side that cries victim the most. I'm going to say that again. They pick the side that cries victim the most. See, the right doesn't cry victim. The right doesn't cry victim. The right doesn't want people to feel sorry for them. So a lot of black people can't identify with that. And see, and the left knows this. The left knows that it can easily manipulate black people because all the left has to do is pretend that it's going through the same thing that black people went through during Jim Crow, during slavery, all of that crap, right? It's trauma bonding, which is hilarious because those on the left are the main ones that will say people shouldn't trauma bond, but that's all they do is trauma bond. That's all they do. By the way, if you're just coming in here, man, hit the like button. Let's get the likes up. Hit the like button. Let's get the likes up. Hit the Cash App and support the show. Anybody that drops 100 or more will be a sponsor of the show. Anybody that drops 500 or more will be a super sponsor of the show. We try to get 30 contributors per hour starting now. So let's get the support up. Because I guarantee you, no matter what conservative you listen to today, I guarantee you they're not coming at this topic from this angle. But I have to come at this topic from this angle because I have to be realistic. I have to be realistic. Adrian Mason said, bro, you are so right. I can't stand with black culture anymore. What happened to black shows like The Cosby Show or Family Matters? Now you have Love and Hip Hop. I can't stand that foolishness. Bro, you have no idea how much it, when I was growing up, I had pride in my culture. When I was growing up, I was prideful about my culture. We had phenomenal shows, we had phenomenal movies, we had phenomenal artists, we had phenomenal black people in leadership positions, bro. I come from the era of bro. We had Donnie Simpson on Video Soul. Sherry, forgot her name. You go back and look at BET in that era, and you watch the shows that were on BET. You watch the commercials. The commercials were black commercials promoting black businesses. All you saw was black excellence. The future for black Americans looked bright. You have no idea how much it pains me. It pains me, bro. A lot of times I sit back and think to myself, like, and I told my wife this. I said, what the hell happened to black people? Because this shit that we see now, this ain't us. This shit is not us, bro. And I'm sorry, I can't co-sign it. I can't be part of it. I can't get with it. I can't get with it. I can't get with it in no way, shape, or form. I can't be part of it, bro. I can't get with it, bro. The stuff, I'll put it to you like this. The stuff that you see black people doing now that is really leftist ideology, comedians in the 90s used to make fun of that shit. You remember that? You remember in the 90s, comedians used to make fun of people that did shit that black folks wouldn't dare do. Nowadays, the stuff that black folks made fun of in the 90s that they said that we would never do is the shit black people are doing right now. And the black folks that are in show business and the entertainment industry, they want to gaslight us into believing that we've always been like this, as if we don't have memories, as if we can't remember, right? Watch this. I'm gonna give you a prime example. To all the black folks in here right now, where is this from? I'm coming up on the rough side of the mountain. Who in the hell left the gate open? Where does that come from, y'all? Where does that come from? Where does that come from? No, not Martin. Before Martin. Before Martin. Where does that come from? Gospel Hits, BET. Thank you, Malika. Gospel Hits, BET. BET had a commercial that would always come on, and it was a commercial selling gospel hits. Here's my question to all of you black folks right now. When was the last time you seen a black commercial about gospel music. I'll wait. I'll wait. When was the last time you seen a commercial on black television about gospel music? You know why? And this is really going to hurt your feelings. If nothing else, I said hurt your feelings, this is going to hurt your feelings. This is going to hurt your soul. The reason why you ain't seen that is because black folks ain't godly no more. Black folks didn't just abandon the church. Black folks abandoned the faith. And you know why? The reason why is because black folks have been following these godless black celebrities for years now. Black people have been following these godless black celebrities for going on 20 years now. You got Nick Cannon sitting up there on an interview with Candace Owens, and she trying to explain to Nick Cannon what a biological woman is, and he's sitting there talking about she asked him what a woman was, and Nick Cannon said, "Well, it depends." Do you have any idea? Comedians in the 90s would have had a field day with that shit. Comedians in the 90s would have had a field day with Nick Cannon. But not today. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Not today. Not today. Now, this is the scary part. This is the scary part. The scary part is when you look at the climate today, when you look at the society today, right? The society has been split in half. On the one side, you got the conservatives or the right, and on the other side, you got the liberals or the left. Explain to me this. Why the hell would black people pick the side out of both of them sides? There's one side that's always talking about Jesus. There's one side that's always talking about God. There's one side that's always talking about their faith. Why would black people pick the side that doesn't talk about that? Why would black people pick the side? You got black people mad about a memorial service where they were in there praying. And this is what makes it even worse. See, everybody ain't going to point out what I point out. So I'm going to point it out for you, and I want you to think about this for a second. In this day and age, you got black people screaming free Palestine. But back in the day, when Brother Malcolm and the like asked black folk to be Muslim and join the nation, they said, I don't want to be no Muslim. No, I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that again. Today, you got black people screaming free Palestine. But when Brother Malcolm and other brothers wanted black folk to join the nation so that they could be better and join the Muslim faith, they said, I don't want to be no Muslim. You can't, bro, you can't make this up. 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 I'll give you another bit of irony, right? Give you another bit of irony. Think about this for a second. For all of you on the left that are black, I want you to ask your Democratic representatives this question. Why is it now that Trump has issued these orders for mass deportation, why is it the people that are here illegally are allowed to fight back against ICE? Why is it your Democrat mayors and Democrat representatives are talking about how they're going to resist ICE for the sake of their citizens, but them same Democrats didn't do shit when the police was in your neighborhoods whooping your ass? Answer that question for me. Get your Democratic representatives to answer that question. Get Al Sharpton and the rest of them to answer them questions. Why weren't you, a black person in the ghetto during the Giuliani era, during the stop and frisk era? Why were you not allowed to push back? Why wasn't your representatives defending you? Why was everybody quiet during the 94 crime bill that led to mass incarceration of black bodies? But now all of a sudden everybody has this humanitarian effort because illegal migrants are here in this country. Just a question. Shout out to Shadow Vegeta. He said, caught the live. You're my go-to for my hour runs on the greenways here in Raleigh, supporting the show. Appreciate you. Simple question. Simple question that I believe deserves an answer. Because during my era, the police had carte blanche to do whatever they wanted in black neighborhoods. They had carte blanche to do whatever they wanted. And while I'm not going to sit here and say that all cops were bad, there were some bad apples in the bunch that did a lot of messed up shit. And we didn't see the same outcry when that was occurring as we do now. for people that ain't even supposed to be in the damn country. So you explain to me how, as black citizens, you were having your rights violated, your civil rights violated. You wasn't allowed to fight back. If you fought back, you got extra time. And it damn sure wasn't no mayors and governors doing press conferences, calling the president to task because all these black folks were being mistreated. This is why I can't respect y'all. You do the same thing every time. You fight for everybody else's cause more than you fight for your own cause. Now, all of a sudden, you got people from other countries that were not born here burning flags, protesting, throwing shit, setting stuff on fire. You wouldn't be able to do that. I haven't seen not one German Shepherd get sick on nobody. I haven't seen nobody get sprayed with no fire hoses yet. And the funniest thing is, you black folks want to run out there and protest with them. And you like, yeah, because the system this and yeah. So while they out there throwing bottles and setting stuff on fire and burning flags and cutting up and just engaging in all kinds of anarchy, you never stop to think if you was out there by yourself. If it was just black people out there doing that instead of a mixture of different races, would they be standing around just trying to keep the peace, or would they be splitting your damn head? Ask Kamala about that. Ask AOC about that. Because, see, they love to use you and your plight to further their cause. But whenever it's you by yourself going through that bullshit, they're quiet. Tell me I'm lying. I want somebody in here talk back to me. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm full of shit. No, what you'll do is you'll come over here and you'll call me a sellout and you'll call me a coon. And what I'm trying to figure out is, if I'm the sellout and the coon, why the hell am I the only nigga that's bringing this up? If I'm the sellout and the coon, why am I the only black person on YouTube bringing this up? The only reason that you can go out there, and I got news for you, Black Lives Matter. The only reason you was able to go out and do that shit is because they wanted you to do that shit. Now, before you try to say, well, that ain't true. Oh, it ain't true, then where was the fire hoses? Where was the German Shepherds? Where was the Billy Clubs? Huh? Where were the fire hoses? Where were the German Shepherds? Where were the Billy Clubs? Just explain it to me. See, this is what you don't realize about me. I'm not saying that the police need to lock up these violent protesters because I'm a sellout and a coon. I'm saying the police need to lock up these violent protesters regardless of what their race is, because when it was us protesting and wasn't even violent, what was happening? What was happening? Where do you think the moral high ground came from? Where do you think the moral currency came from? It came from the civil rights era of black people that was marching lockstep, arm in arm, not being violent, singing Negro spirituals. They wasn't throwing no bottles. They wasn't setting nothing on fire. They wasn't doing none of that shit. It was peaceful protesters the way you're supposed to protest in America. A civil right that is a right that is guaranteed to you by the Constitution. That's what they was doing. And you know what they got for their trouble? A billy club upside the head. Dogs sicked on them. Sprayed with water hoses. But here come a bunch of people from countries entering the country illegally. They ain't even supposed to be here. And they get to curse the president out. They get to set our flag on fire. They get to burn cities down. They get to cause all types of violence. And you Negroes right there with them, instead of questioning why they're allowed to do that and you wasn't. See, you don't even realize right now with the Democrat Party declining, they need you more than ever. This is the perfect time for you to say, nah, we not about to be a part of none of that until y'all address the issues of our community. Because you stay skipping over us. You're worried about the whole damn world, and you ain't never done right by the black community in this country. We not gonna be part of no protest. We not gonna condone nothing. We ain't yelling free nobody until you do right by our community, our schools. But you ain't gonna do it. You know why you ain't gonna do it? Because you don't know which way is up. You at HBCUs screaming at Trump supporters with a MAGA hat on, and your silly ass don't even realize Trump just took money from the other freaking universities, from all the Ivy League universities, in order to give HBCUs 500 million. Was it 500 million? Yeah, $500 million. Bet you didn't know that, did you? Trump literally just shorted Ivy League schools like Harvard, freaking Yale, Princeton, to give the HBCUs a bump in funding. ADT said that's cap. Look it up. Look it up. What did LeVar Burton used to say back on Reading Rainbow? You ain't got to take my word for it. Go look it up. You ain't got to take my word for it. Go look it up. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to do me a favor. After you go look it up and see that it's true, I want you to come back here and apologize to me. After you go look it up, don't go look it up and be like, I don't care, I still can't stand Trump. After you go look it up, bring your behind back here and apologize to the angry man. That's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do. But guess what? This ain't the first time Trump then gave money to HBCUs. But see, you don't know that. And you know why you don't know that? Because 5 of the major networks will never do a story on anything positive that Donald Trump does. They will never do a story on anything positive that man does. You're only going to get negative stories about it. That's all you're going to get. That's all you're going to get. And look, I don't blame you. Most people are sheep. You're not going to do your due diligence the way I will. You're not going to go do the research the way I will to know what's true and what ain't true. You ain't going to do that. If you walking down the street and you hear somebody say, you hear a voice say the world coming to an end tomorrow, your ass will believe it. Your ass will believe it. You had countless black folk on the internet a few days ago thinking that the rapture was coming on the 23rd. Shout out to the Supreme View. He said supporting the real. Appreciate you, bro. They thought the rapture was coming on the 23rd. And that's how I know black folk today ain't you don't know nothing about the Bible. You don't know, because if you knew anything about the Bible, you would know no man knoweth the day or the hour. So why would you believe the rapture would be on the 23rd of this month? Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Yo, we got 23 minutes left, y'all. We got 23 minutes left. We need some support. We need some support, y'all. What's going on with the support? We got 23 minutes left if y'all want to keep it going, because I'm just getting started. I'm just getting warmed up. I'm just getting warmed up. Shout out to my man Aaron. Aaron said, to be honest, I also have smoked for Pam Bondi a lot. Note, the 3/5 clause was created because Southern Democrats wanted to count their slaves for Congress seats, but not let them vote. Even the founders knew it was a problem. Facts. Facts. But see, here's the thing, Aaron. Most people don't know that. Most people don't know that. Most people think they did that just because they wanted to, just because they were racist and they hated, supposedly hated black people. But it really was some other BS. Shout out to Erica. Erica said Trump 45 increased funding for HBCUs. As you said in the post in the past, we lost our leverage because our vote can't help the Democrats win anymore. Yep. But see, I warned them about that. I warned black people about that. I said, yo, y'all don't even realize it. In a hot second, the Latinos are going to be a bigger voting bloc than you. I've been saying this. And now it has come to pass. Shout out to Grin. He said, keep preaching. Now it has come to pass. Shout out to Philip. He said, here you go. Appreciate you. Now it's come to pass. Black people, you are no longer, you are no longer the voting bloc that you used to be. 80-some% of you voted for Kamala and she still lost. Yeah, if you think that's not going to weigh into the next election, you've lost your mind. You've lost your mind. And the funny thing, you know, if I know y'all like I think I know y'all, now you'll start really demanding stuff. Now that you don't have the leverage. Because that's how y'all operate. You're a day late and a dollar short all the time. You're a day late and a dollar short all the time. Like in a hot second, if things keep going the way it's going, you're going to have illegals here with more rights than you got. And then you'll cry about it. Once they've solidified themselves and they no longer have to fight against the government or fight to be here, they're going to go on to live the American dream, and you still going to be in the same shape. And then you're going to be mad because guess what? When it come time for you to champion your cause, I guarantee you all those individuals you screaming for, they ain't gonna pick up them flags for you. They ain't gonna champion that cause for you. Just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. Sit back and watch the shit every time. Every single time. But going back to the original point, this whole thing with James Comey, this is not no victory. This ain't no victory. This ain't no victory. He gonna go and they gonna have a little court case. And even if he get convicted, he might get probation or some shit like that. You know, kabuki theater. You feel what I'm saying? Throwing the conservatives a bone so that you don't feel like, you know what I'm saying? Because look at everything that's happened. There's a bunch of y'all crying about the Epstein list, right? Well, no, that wasn't the first thing. The first thing was Trump and Elon falling out with each other, right? Then after that, you had the freaking the Epstein list debacle, right? Now you got Pam Bondi not moving forward with prosecuting certain people, right? All this James Comey situation is to throw y'all a bone so that you ain't upset. That's all it is. Shout out to Elijah. He said, "Good morning, AM and BINO supporting the show." That's all this is. They throwing y'all a bone so that you won't get overly upset. Because look what just happened. Look what just happened. You just had that tragedy happen. And then you had Jimmy Kimmel say some wild stuff on his show after the tragedy happened. And you couldn't even keep him off the air. You couldn't keep Jimmy Kimmel off the air for a week. For a week. For standing up there and telling a flat out lie. Meanwhile, the left can cancel you for the lightest infraction. It don't even got to be nothing logical. It could just be something they don't like. It could just be something they don't like, right? They could just be like, "Yo, I don't like what." Hey, let me ask you a question. What side of the bed did you wake up on this morning? The right side. Oh, I don't like that. Canceled. You feel what I'm saying? Like you ain't even got to do nothing. See, here's the thing with me, right? Even though I follow politics, I look at what the left does, I look at what the right does, I look at how all of it plays out. I know which parts is real and which parts is theater. I know which parts are just for show. Like, I'm not naive to that shit, right? But I understand what the real game is. I understand what the real game is. A lot of y'all don't understand what the real game is. The real game is power. The real game is power. Now, if you sit back and look at it from that position, the left still has the power. The left still has the power. Now, have you gotten some victories? Yeah, but guess what? You didn't get Colbert off the air because of his dangerous rhetoric. You didn't get Colbert off the air because he's obviously a partisan hack. He only got taken off the air because his ratings sucked. And it's the same thing with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel was only in danger of being taken off the air because of money, because his ratings are in the crapper. When the left decides to cancel somebody on the right, they could be making plenty of money. They could be at the height of their career. When the left decides you're canceled, it doesn't matter what you got going on. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't. Donald Trump was the sitting president. How the hell does a sitting president get banned by a company that is in the country that he's the president of? ADT said, "My bad. You are right about HBCU funding." You know what? I appreciate you coming back and saying that. I appreciate you saying that. But here's the thing you got to realize about me, brother. I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you no lie, because it don't serve me. It don't serve me no purpose to lie to you. It don't serve me no purpose. I don't operate like that. Because if I tell you a lie, I know you can go verify that I'm lying. There's no point. There's absolutely no point in that. And anybody that has watched me long enough, to all of the BINOs in here, everybody in the BINO Nation that has watched me long enough, is the angry man gonna sit up here and just lie for the sake of lying? Have y'all known me to sit up here and just lie for the sake of lying? I'm gonna just lie and say, because if I don't know some shit, I'm not gonna tell you a lie just to pretend like I know the shit. If I don't know the shit, I'm gonna be like, I don't know. As soon as you ask me, you're like, "Oh, angry man, what you think about so and so?" I'll be like, "I don't know nothing about that, so I can't really speak on it." And even if I do say some shit and it turns out that it's not true, I'll be like, "Oh shit, you know what? I got some wrong information. My bad." Because I don't have no problem apologizing if I did something wrong. But when you look at the left still has power. It is undeniable. You cannot ignore it. You cannot unsee it. Now, while CK's demise may have galvanized the right, the truth of the matter is the left was still all over social media disrespecting him. Like, a body can drop on the right. And you don't see a shift in power. The right can't even use that to say, you know what, this, because you got all the people on the right, they keep going on news media shows. Look, it's the dangerous rhetoric that the left is spewing. It's the dangerous rhetoric that the left is spewing. It's causing people to lose their lives. It's causing people to lose their lives. Then why don't y'all shut it down? Why don't you shut it down? Let somebody on the left mess around and lose their life. Any rhetoric that they believe led to that, they're shutting that shit down. They shutting that shit down. And the moment you say something about freedom of speech, the first thing they're going to say is, well, freedom of speech does not guarantee you speech that incites violence. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say freedom of speech doesn't give you the right to incite violence. That's what they're going to say. But you've allowed all of these crybabies to cry about Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, but Jimmy Kimmel, taking him off the air. Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Kimmel. Do you have any idea how low on the totem pole Jimmy Kimmel is to any type of, bruh? If you can't even get Jimmy Kimmel off the air, how the hell you gonna hold Democrat big wigs accountable? How? If you can't even get Jimmy Kimmel off the air, how the hell you gonna hold? How would you hold Hillary Clinton accountable? I heard somebody said Jimmy Kimmel been on the air for 20. Has he had that show for 20 years? Has that clown had that show for 20 years? Look, I'm gonna tell you what it is. And nobody wants to point this out. Nobody wants to point this out. I think I may have said it once before. And I'm gonna say it again. I honestly believe Trump is a decent man. Now, I'm gonna tell you why. Because there's so many people that think he's not a decent man. I'm gonna tell you why I believe he's a decent man. The reason I believe he's a decent man is because I think that all the criticism from the left, them calling him a dictator, them calling him all of these crazy names, saying that he's a fascist, all of this stuff, I think it bothers him. And I think that because it bothers him, he lets up off of the gas. That's what I genuinely feel. Y'all can disagree with me, but that's what I genuinely feel. I genuinely feel like Trump doesn't go as hard in the paint as he can because he doesn't want people saying that he's a fascist. He doesn't want people saying he's a dictator. Shout out to Tamara, said, good morning, AM and chat. What are your thoughts on Laura Loomer's comments on Jasmine Crockett? And if you've covered it, excuse me, I'm just tuning in. I haven't saw those comments, so I can't even speak on that. I don't know who Laura Loomer is. I probably would know who it was if I saw her face, but I don't know who Laura Loomer is. In fact, I think all of the conservatives are susceptible to that. I think it's a strategy of the left, because the left understands and knows that the right pride themselves on their morality. They pride themselves on taking the moral high ground. So what the left does is they use this sort of reverse psychology. They constantly accuse the right of being the worst of the worst. So the right will go out of its way to avoid getting down in the mud with them, because if they do, they feel like they'll prove the left right, if that makes sense. It's like the left is like, we're going to call you fascists and all of that stuff, so that if you do anything that can even be considered questionable, will be justified in our opinion of you. So what happens with the right is anything that even closely looks like authoritarianism, they just stay away from it. Like, okay, I'm not going to do this. Because they already calling us fascists. They already calling us all of these names. And guess what? As long as the right continues to operate like that, you're going to always lose this game with them. You're going to always lose this game with them. Shout out to Kelvin. He said AM will always bring the receipts. Appreciate you. You can always lose this game. You can always lose this game, because on the right, when it comes to Republican congressmen, senators, governors, Republican president, vice president, you're not willing to do what the Democrats are willing to do. You know what the Democrats are willing to do? Whatever the hell they want, and they'll justify it after. When Joe Biden was in office, do you have any idea how many times he's violated? You think he give a shit? All they're going to do is they're going to violate, and then they're going to have the mainstream media cover for him. Like, you gotta, as a Republican, you gotta not care what they talking about. You gotta not care. You gotta be, you gotta be on some. I'm gonna tell you how you get shit done. You gotta be on some Ron DeSantis type energy. That's what you gotta do. You gotta be on some Ron DeSantis type energy. You gotta be like the governor of Texas. Like, you gotta be on some shit where it's like, I don't care what you talking about. Shout out to Brandon. He said, I'm going to be honest, it's just these public Dem and Republicans that disagree so bad. I'm a Dem around conservatives, and we all good. Luke said, bro, you wasting the cigar. You smoking lighter fluid mixed with tab. Bro. First of all, let's be clear about something. I have cedar sticks that I've lit my cigars with, in comparison to lighting it with this, and I don't taste the difference. That's number one. So let's be clear about that. I have lit my cigars with cedar sticks, and I've lit it with this, and don't see a difference. Now, with that being said, if you are a true cigar connoisseur, then you know that it is bad etiquette to tell another connoisseur how to light his damn cigar. And you know that if you smoke cigars, that is poor form, sir. You feel me? Anyway, going back to what I was saying. The problem is the Republicans care too much. The Republicans care too much. I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like JD Vance is right there. I feel like JD Vance is right there where I'm at. I feel like JD Vance is like, that's all right. Wait till I become president. Like, I feel like he's right there. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I feel like he's right there, like he's at the edge of the precipice. I feel like he's right there. Shout out to Steven, said, good morning, AM. I think Trump wants to be remembered in a favorable light, and that keeps him from dropping the hammer the way he really should. Facts. Facts. And by the way, y'all, we got 10 minutes left, and we still need 13 people. We got 10 minutes left, and we still need 13 people. Yeah, I think they have figured out that they can use Trump's vanity against him. Shout out to Earl. He said, thanks for the early stream and real talk. Appreciate you. Shout out to John. He said, let's see. He said, for the support and the truth spitting. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think they're using Trump's vanity against him. Because it's some stuff that he said he was going to do that he ain't did yet. And I realize this is his first year. But yeah, JD Vance, he definitely, Casey, I think JD Vance is definitely with the shits. I think he's with the shits. I think he's with the shits, like for real with the shits. Oh, and by the way, to all of the lefties that's watching right now, you know how y'all say, y'all don't never criticize Trump. What's this right now? What's this right now? What is this? What has this entire thing that I've been doing been right now? Shout out to D-Rock then. He said, for the shoe. Shout out to Brandon. He said, for real, angry. I'm a dim and listen to you shaking my head. When did the sides get so bad? In your opinion, we did have a disagreement equal. When did disagreement equal violence? Bro, it's this new age. It's this new age of folks, man. It's this new age of folks, man. They're getting charged up politically. It's the rhetoric. It's the rhetoric. It's the rhetoric. It's the rhetoric. And people don't realize I don't give a damn what side it is. I'm for what's best for the damn country. That's what I'm for. I don't care what the side is. The only reason I got a problem with the Democrats today is because they've went so far left. You literally have a guy right now that wants to be mayor of New York that's a flat out communist. And I'm like, how did we get here? He said socialist, Marxist, communist, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. Yo, shout out to Tavarius for being a sponsor of the show. He said support. Appreciate you, bro. It's the same shit. All of that shit is the same shit. Socialism and communism, they have a couple of little subtle nuances, but both of those systems derive from Marxism. And it all ends the same way. It all ends the same way. But yeah, for anybody watching, like real talk, this is not a victory. It's not a victory. It's a pacifier. That's what it is. It's a pacifier. And the reason why, shout out to the lowly one, he said, when they looked into the abyss, they blinked. Yeah. I don't think they realized how deep. I don't think they realized how deep the swamp was. I don't think they realized how deep the swamp was. But they know now. They know now. And really, to be truthfully honest, the only way that they're going to be successful at this is legislation. What's really gonna be the determining factor is the midterms. That's what's really going to be the determining factor. Normally, what happens with the midterms is whatever the president is, because there's been a couple of presidents that have had, the Senate and the House. But usually what happens in the midterms is it switches back. So if you a Democrat president, usually in the midterms, after the midterms is over, you're going to be dealing with a Republican House, Republican Senate. If you're a Republican, after the midterms, you're usually going to be dealing with a Democrat House, Democrat Senate. Now, with everything shaping up the way it's been shaping up, with everybody losing faith in the Democratic Party, and see that even that's a toss-up, because you have all of these people coming out saying that they don't have faith in the Democratic Party, but humans are creatures of habit. I still got some of them going down there to the polls and still voting Democrat because they've been Democrats their whole life, right? But you also got to weigh into it all of the gerrymandering that happened recently with Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Ohio is trying to get another seat, and I think Florida's trying to get some more seats, right? So you still got that going on. So that's going to be the determining factor. If Republicans maintain, if you don't get your froggy ass up out of here, get out of here. Oh, you brave. Oh, you're a brave one. No, don't try to run now. Don't try to run now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gonna come up out of there. Yeah. You gonna come up out of there. Yeah. Get your ass on up out of here. Yeah, but going back to what I was saying. That's what's going to be the determining factor. That's what's going to decide everything. If we have the midterms and we maintain a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate, then we might have a fighting chance. We might have a fighting chance. But like I said, even with that, it depends on how it depends on how hard Donald Trump is willing to go in the paint. And in my opinion, he better go hard in the paint. Because just because, look, this is the one thing Donald Trump need to be mindful of. Him and JD Vance. They need to be mindful of the fact that if they don't defeat the swamp in these next 4 years, didn't they try to prosecute him before? And you see what they tried to prosecute him for. You feel me? And you know the justice system here in America. If they wanted, they can indict a ham sandwich if they wanted to. They can indict a ham sandwich if they want to. So at the end of the day, they don't have a choice. They don't have a choice because trust and believe. Look, how many of y'all remember the show Breaking Bad? Press 1 if y'all remember the show Breaking Bad. Mathis said he a bottom bundle smoker. What the hell is a bottom bundle smoker? What is that? What the hell does that even mean? Somebody explain to me, what does that mean? What did he mean, a bottom bundle smoker? What does that mean? Fuck out of here, man. You said everyday cheap. So you think so before I get into this thing about Breaking Bad, before I get into this shit, so you think I smoke cheap cigars? That's what you're saying? That's what you're saying? I smoke cheap cigars? In my opinion. So tell me what brand I smoke. Nobody else answered this question for him. Tell me what brand I smoke. Because whether I smoke cheap cigars or not is not an opinion. It's either a fact or it isn't. So what I'm trying to figure out is, how would you have an opinion on it if you don't even know what type of cigars I smoke? So what type do I smoke? Unbanded. You talking about this right here? You talking about this right here? You talking about this right here? Said, damn, I wasn't too far off. So you think Undercrown is a cheap cigar? So you think Undercrown is a cheap cigar? So I tell you what, suggest another brand. Suggest another brand. Well, at that price point, AF 858. Bro, did you just suggest an Arturo Fuente? The fucking Arturo Fuentes are cheaper than the damn Undercrown. What? Bro, he just suggested Arturo Fuente. A box of Arturo Fuente is $181. A box of 25 Arturo Fuentes is $181. A box of Undercrowns, Maduro Gordito, 60 gauge, is $300. What are you talking about, sir? You said at that price point, bro. I didn't ask you to give me a cigar based on the price point. I don't have a price point. I don't have a price point. I'm asking you to suggest the expensive cigar that you think I should be smoking. I'm waiting. I want you to suggest the expensive cigar that you think I should be smoking. Lowell said, had Arturo, prefer Undercrown. Me too. I don't really like Arturo Fuente. I don't even like Arturo Fuente. I don't like their cigars. I like their ashtrays. I like their ashtrays. You smoke what you like. See what I mean? Do y'all see the type of shit I'm talking about? See, he started that conversation because he think I'm just smoking cigars. I don't know shit about cigars. That's why he started that conversation. Now, the moment he realizes that I know something about cigars, now it's you smoke what you like. Do y'all see the type of stupidity I have to deal with? How many of you were in the live stream when I said that I like what I like regardless of the price? How many of y'all remember that? How many of y'all remember that? How many of y'all remember me saying that I can I could go get a Gucci shirt that costs $500, or I could go get a shirt from Target that costs $15. It don't make me no difference. If I like the design, I like the design, because I'm a simple man. See, here's the thing, Mathis. Real men, and I told y'all we got to take that term back. Real men, we don't base what we do off of the cost. We base what we do off of what we prefer. That's what men do. That's what men do. I smoke Underground because I like the taste of Underground. Is that cool with you? Is that cool with you? Is that cool with you, Mathis? I just want to know before we move forward. Is that cool with you, little buddy? He said, yes, sir. Cool. Now that we know that you approve of my cigars, somebody do me a favor and give him an Uber. Somebody do me a favor and give him an Uber. Thank you very much, JLJ504HD. Getting back to what I was saying. So, for all of you that watched Breaking Bad, right? On Breaking Bad, if you remember, there was a character on the show named Mike Ehrmantraut. Mike was the ex-cop that was the enforcer for Gustavo Fring, right? One day he told a story, and I think he told this story to Walter. He said, no half measures, right? He said that there was a guy, every time you looked up, they would get this call. It was a domestic violence call, domestic disturbance, right? At least once a week. So they would go out there, and they said there was this woman that was a little small woman, you know, little over 100 pounds soaking wet, and she had a boyfriend that was, or a husband that was this huge guy, and he was abusive. And so Mike said one day he didn't take him to the station. He took him out, put him on his knees, and told him, you know, he put the ratchet to him, and he told him, he said, if you ever hit her again, I'm a XYZ and this, that, and the third, and all of this. And he said the dude was crying, and the dude, you know, swore he wouldn't do it again and all of that crap, right? He said, took him on to the station, right? Said a week later, the woman lost her life. He said, that only happened because he chose a half measure instead of going all the way. Now, keep in mind, I'm not talking about political violence. What I'm saying is, you got Republican legislators that keep choosing half measures when it comes to pushing through legislation, when it comes to holding people accountable within the law. They keep using half measures. It's almost like they're just trying to give you something that will appease you instead of doing things that will cause actual change, right? Nothing is going to change because you got to realize how long the left has been doing what they've been doing, how long the left has been consolidating power. QD exec, what's going on, fam? QD exec said, dude is a novice. He said Arturo Fuente, but he doesn't know the levels. He really wanted to mention the Opus X by Fuente. Those are the expensive ones. Yeah, yeah. He didn't know what he was talking about. He was just trying to mess with me because he thought I was smoking some cheap ass shit that I got from a gas station or something. But yeah, that is the plight. Cause look, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth, man. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm so tired of the left getting its way. Like the left is full on acting like tyrants right now while simultaneously playing the victim. That type of shit is the most annoying shit I've ever seen in my life. QD exec said we smoke by the box. Facts. Facts. Like, I'm tired of it, bro. I'm tired of watching them get their way because they've been running the same play forever. They've been running the same play forever. The play they've been running is, okay, you know what? We're going to do all this wild shit. And then when somebody tries to hold us accountable, we're going to pretend that we're the real victims. And they've gotten it to the point where the right can't even be victims. And I've said this before, yo, this is, you know what? A lot of people say, okay, this is a war between good and evil. And yeah, it's that. But it's also a war between masculinity and femininity. And the reason why I'm saying that is because right now the left is in a feminine position and the right is in the masculine position. Because what do women do in this day and age? They behave like tyrants. And whenever you try to hold them accountable, they play the victim. And they've gotten men to the point where we can't even be victims. So anything that is done to the men, it's like it doesn't matter. But if the men retaliate, then the men are wrong. It's the same thing with the left and the right. It's the same shit. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you are a straight black man on the right, you're catching it from every angle. You're catching it from every angle. You're the worst. You're catching it from every angle. And you want to know what's funny? This is what's funny about it, right? This is what's hilarious about it. You got black people that are on the left telling black people on the right, you're not supposed to be conservative. You got white people on the left telling black people on the right that they shouldn't be Republicans and they shouldn't be conservatives. And what I'm trying to figure out is, isn't the left the group that constantly want to talk about the history of slavery? Isn't the left the group that claims they're the champions for disenfranchised, marginalized people? So how can the left tell black men who they're supposed to vote for and what political leanings they're supposed to have? That sounds like slave masters to me. Shout out to Brandon. He said, come on, Angry. I'm on the left and I like your content. We can come together on these issues. Have faith. Bro, you're not. Look, let me tell you something. There's levels to this shit. Okay? And keep in mind, when I'm talking, okay, let me show you. I'm gonna show you right now, right? Let's say this is the political spectrum. So you got center, right? You got left, and you got right, right? You're right here. The people I'm talking about are right here. So you got to keep in mind, when I say the left, I'm not talking about the left that is close to center. I'm talking about the far left. I'm talking about the zealots. I'm talking about the people that think political violence is cool. That's who I'm talking about. Shout out to Wolf Larson. Said Saul Alinsky playbook, decades old indeed. Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about extremists. I'm not talking about people that you can have a conversation with. I'm not talking about people that operate in common sense. That's not who I'm talking about. That's not who I'm talking about. Because trust and believe, I feel the same way. The same way I feel about the far left, I feel that way about the far right too. I feel that way about the far right too. When we talking about alt-right and you start getting off into the fringes, I don't agree with that either. I don't agree with that either. See, nobody has ever asked me, when I say I'm on the right, nobody has ever asked me how close to the center I am. Like, nobody's ever asked me that shit. I'm not far right. You feel me? Shout out to Ken Drago. Said appreciate the help, AM. I'll keep you updated, bro. No doubt, fam. Yeah, fam. Once you get that, you put that in. Once you get that PIN number, you put that in to verify everything, and then you just fill out all your information, put your bank account information in there so that every month it'll get deposited, and you good to go. You good to go. Say, AM, would you ever go on Jubilee? Mark, that's not the question. The question is, will Jubilee ever ask me to be on there? Say, I don't know how that works. When I be seeing people on Jubilee, I don't know if Jubilee asked them or if they went there. I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know how that works. I don't know if people be asking to be on them shows or if them shows be reaching out to them. Said, why don't you call for full UFO disclosure? Because I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about. I might have cared about that in the 90s. I don't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit about that at all. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I don't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit about anything that is out of my control. You feel me? The only reason I talk about politics is because we can influence politics. You feel what I'm saying? We can raise our voices. We can sway people to our side of the thought process. We can vote. There's a lot of shit we can do with politics. When it comes to stuff like that, I don't care because I can't control that shit. I can't control that shit. I don't got no and to be truthfully honest, I feel like it's a distraction. I don't even go down that rabbit hole because I feel like it's a distraction. And by the way, when it comes to that type of thing, I want you to think about it like this. Somewhere in your yard, there's an anthill. Now, inside of that anthill is a complex system. They got a queen, they got workers, they got drones, they got they got a whole community in there. Do you give a shit about that anthill? As long as that anthill is somewhere in your yard, away from your house, and cannot come into your house, you don't give a shit about that anthill, right? Right or wrong? Now imagine that you were a giant. If you were a giant, then you really wouldn't give a shit about that anthill. That anthill ain't even on your radar. If there is a possibility that there is other life, the only way that life would be able to come here is they would have to be far more advanced than us. So advanced that we would be like an anthill to them. And while they may come and observe that anthill, as long as those ants don't have the ability to go to their house and cause a problem for them, they probably don't give a shit. And that's why I don't give a shit about it. That's why I don't give a shit about it. Said Congress should give full U.S. No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. Didn't you see the first Men in Black? Didn't you see the first Men in Black movie? Shout out to Stan. He said that was a fire ass analogy, bro. Appreciate you. Didn't you see Men in Black? Didn't you see the first episode, the first movie? What did Will Smith say to the agent, to Tommy Lee Jones? He said, why not just tell everybody? People are smart. They can handle it. And what did Tommy Lee Jones say? He said, a person is smart. People are irrational cattle. If they had any information about things like that we can't comprehend, we can't understand, you think look at how people are acting right now, just from the media constantly calling Trump a dictator. What the hell do you think is going to happen when they find some shit out like that? People will lose their minds. People will lose their minds. See, here's the thing, and let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, MacArthur. And I'm not trying to be funny. I just want to know: Are you a white guy? I just want to know. I just want to know: Are you a white guy? I promise you, it's relevant to what I'm getting ready to say. Are you a white guy? Yes or no? You said I'm a black guy. That's interesting. I would have thought you were a white guy. Oh, well. Let me adjust what I'm going to say then. Because I was getting ready to say, white guys, y'all be wanting to know everything. And now I see there are some black guys that be wanting to know. I don't want to know everything. I don't want to know everything, bro. I don't. I don't, bro. I don't want to know everything. Did you ever think that maybe there's some shit we weren't meant to know? Like, for real. Did you ever think there was certain shit we were never meant to know? Like, for instance, 80% of the ocean has not been explored. And guess what? I don't want to know what's down there. I'm not that interested. I am not that interested, bro. I promise you I'm not that interested. I don't want to know what type of ungodly creatures can exist at the bottom of the ocean. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Because here's the thing, right? Let me explain something to you about human beings. Human beings have an ego problem. We have an ego problem, right? On this planet, we believe we are the smartest creatures on this planet. And it may not be true. It may not be true. We believe we're the smartest creatures on this planet. Why? Because we have an ego that's out of this world. The moment that human beings start to really understand the universe that we live in, that shit will make us really small. And we can't handle being small. We can't handle being small. We can't handle being small at all. The only thing I can say about if there is other life, you just better hope that other life is benevolent. Because there's some people that like burning ants with magnifying glasses. You get my point? You get my point? If there is other life, just pray to God it's benevolent. Because there are people out here that they'll see an anthill and they'll break out that magnifying glass and get pleasure out of doing that shit. And guess what? There ain't a damn thing them ants can do about it. There is nothing those ants can do about it. And let me tell you something. I'm going to show you how crazy our ego is. Our ego is so huge that when we make a movie like War of the Worlds, we'll put some goofy shit in it like, oh, the aliens is allergic to water. We'll do some goofy shit like that. Why? So that we can feel better about that situation, even in a fictitious movie. Our ego is so huge. We'll make a movie about Transformers, and the entire movie will center around the people. Like, I'll go see a movie with Transformers. I want to see Optimus Prime and Megatron. I want to see the conflict between the Autobots and the Decepticons. I don't give a shit what Mark Wahlberg is doing. I don't give a damn about what Shia LaBeouf is doing. But that's us. That's our ego. That's our ego. You're never going to see a single movie that we make that's about aliens where we don't put ourselves in the situation. That movie Avatar that James Cameron directed, that movie could have just been about the blue people. We didn't have to have humans up there, but that's the human ego. And then on top of that, when people start saying, "Oh, well, what about that? What about other light, bro?" How would you even know if you could? There's so many factors that play into that, right? There's so many factors that play into that. First of all, you don't even know if there was something like that. You don't even know how their biology would affect our biology. They could be carrying some microorganism or some type of germ or something that can wipe us out just by being around us. And then there's also the thought process of communication. Can you really can you communicate with an ant? No. That's why I don't even dive into that type of shit, bro. Because currently that is not our reality. Currently that's not our reality. Currently that is speculation. That's what that is. That is speculation. So I don't get into that. I don't get into that, bro. And then on top of that, you gotta think like this. We got bigger fish to fry. We got bigger problems than diving off into the mysteries about this or that. We got bigger problems. We got to figure out what we got to figure out as human beings is we got to figure out how to live on this planet with each other. We're not the first civilization. And just as easily as those other civilizations fail, ours can fall too. We got to learn how to live with each other. We got to learn how to freaking we got to learn a better way of doing shit. Oh, get out of here. Damn hornet. See what I mean? we still on the planet worrying about hornets and freaking bears and snakes and shit. And you talking about some shit from somewhere else, man. I'm not trying to think about no shit from somewhere else, bro. Like I'm not trying to think about no shit from somewhere else, fam. You feel me? Because we are a fragile we're a fragile being, bro. I don't think y'all realize how fragile we are. You know them packages, you know, when you buy something from the store and it's in that freaking plastic that you can't tear open. You literally gotta take a knife and cut it. One day I'm trying to open this package and I got a sharp knife and I'm trying to cut the package open, and I'm like, damn, it's hard as hell to cut this package open with this knife. But if I were to slip and that knife hit my skin, it would cut through my skin like a hot knife through butter. We are a fragile group of beings. You feel me? I'm not, bruh. I'm not trying to be worried about nothing else outside of what's going on here in this reality, bro. Because I can't deal with nothing else, bro. You talking about they need to let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you some shit that I know for a fact. This is something that I know for a fact. What I know for a fact is this. We don't want to know everything the government know. You can take that to the bank. You can take that to the bank. We as the general public, do not want to know everything the government knows. And I will take it a step further and say it would be irresponsible of our government to inform us of every little thing. And that's real. There would be mass hysteria. Absolutely. We already like a powder keg right now. We already like a powder keg. You talking about what's up with all yo? It is time for winter. It is time for winter, damn it. Sick of this shit. But yeah, going back to the original topic. This James Comey shit, I don't even think he going to prison, bro. I don't even think he going to prison. That's just my humble opinion. I don't think he's going to prison. I think this was just to throw us a bone because of everything that's happened recently. Because even though we should be getting massive wins, and we have been getting some wins, that damn hornet. I'm gonna have to get that hornet. I think it's the same one. I think it's the same one. Yeah, I'm good, Chris. I just don't play with no damn hornets, bro. I don't play with no damn hornets. Motherfucking hornets sting you, bro. Woo. That shit ain't no joke. But yeah, we've gotten some wins lately, but we've taken some L's too. We've taken some L's too, and that's them. Shout out to King Cato. He said, "Where your salt gun at?" I think that shit is in the crib, man. I think it's in the house. But yeah, I think this James Comey situation, and they claim they're going to indict Letitia James. They claim they're going to indict her too. So we're going to see if that happens. We're going to see if that happens. You feel me? But anyway, I'm about to get up out of here, man. I need to get my freaking car inspected. Shout out to everybody that came through this morning. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to IMP. He says salute to the light skinned God AM. Appreciate you, bro. Make sure you guys go check out my book, The Angryman Standard, which is available on Amazon. All you have to do is type The Angryman Standard in the search bar and it will come up. Also, if you want to check out the merchandise, all you have to do is go to shop.binonation.com. Again, that's shop.binonation.com, or you can click the link that's on the screen. But other than that, I'll probably see you guys later on this evening. So be on the lookout for me. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Deuces.